Welcome back, Will Trent fans. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intense, layered, and emotional episodes of Will Trent yet. Season 4, Episode 7, titled Call Paul. This is the episode where past trauma, serial killers, and childhood rivalries collide in a pulse-pounding story that keeps you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. Mark Paul Gosselaar makes his long-awaited return as Paul Campano, Will's former foster brother and childhood rival, while Greg German's James Ulster returns in chilling hallucinations that push Will to the brink. Let's break it all down, scene by scene, and uncover every twist, shock, and revelation. The episode opens with a terrifying nightmare. A woman runs through her home, blood pouring from her back, begging for mercy as a nail gun is raised. For a split second, it's Will Trent holding it, a haunting glimpse into his subconscious. Snap back to reality. Will is standing in Joelle Hornbacher's home, backtracking the crime scene. Bloody footprints lead to the patio door. Joelle could have escaped, but she stops, facing her killer. Will's analysis is precise. The angle of the nails suggests a taller male, deliberate and cruel. Faith Mitchell confirms there's no forced entry, nothing stolen, and Joelle's husband Eli is away in Memphis. Will notices a bloody knife drawer missing a chef's knife. Faith assumes the killer took it, but Will reacts oddly. He would never get that close. Something about the case doesn't fit. And just when things start to get tense, Paul Campano shows up. Living down the street, he insists he knows who killed Joelle. Classic Paul, chaotic, talkative, and full of bravado. Will brings him to the GBI, where Paul shows a sketch of the suspect. Will bluntly calls it toddler-like, but Paul insists he saw the man around 4 a.m. near Joelle's home during his early morning routine, the infamous 4 a.m. club. The tension spikes when Paul casually hints at an affair with Joelle, and Eli Hornbacher bursts in, attacking him. Faith steps in to protect Paul, and finally, Paul confesses. Yes, he had an affair, but he didn't kill her. Their last encounter, the night of her murder, was a breakup meeting. Yes, with casual breakup sex, so his DNA will be on her body, but he's not the killer. While Paul's antics bring chaos and humor, Will zeroes in on the bigger picture. The nail gun doesn't belong to Eli. Its serial number traces back to Brent Shipley, killed a year ago in a home invasion. Patterns emerge. No fingerprints, weapons left behind, methodical killings, pointing to a serial killer duo. Faith and Will start profiling the killers, realizing they're patient, cold, and strategic. They also link all victims through Anuli Springs water deliveries, an eerie signature connecting Joelle, Brent, and other victims. Meanwhile, APD handles a hit-and-run case. Benjamin Price is dead, but white hair found on his car leads them to a skunk. Yes, a skunk. Turns out Daphne Bell, the skunk mother, is involved in a series of misunderstandings that eventually explain the bizarre evidence. This case provides levity amid the darkness, showing the show's perfect balance of tension and humor. But the heart of this episode is Will himself. While studying the crime scene photos, he hallucinates stepping into the killer's minds. James Ulster appears as Will's dark side, taunting him, showing him the thrill and comfort of committing violence. Will almost loses himself, wielding a bat, then a nail gun, imagining harming the victims, realizing there are two killers working together. Paul's presence is the anchor. He snaps Will out of these terrifying visions, helping him focus and breathe. Together, they connect the dots. The killers have methodical ways of choosing victims, all linked to Anuli Springs water. Will realizes that he came dangerously close to giving in to the rage he fears he shares with the killers. Paul, of course, can't stay out of trouble. He tries to publicize his Call Paul hotline with the suspect sketch. The killer sees it, and suddenly Paul is targeted. A green car speeds down the street, shots ring out, and Will and Faith dive to protect him. They realize Paul isn't safe anywhere, and he ends up staying with Will for his own protection. At Will's house, Paul and Will share a tense, nostalgic meal with Angie and Betty. Childhood trauma resurfaces. Will remembers hitting Paul as a kid after Paul pointed a toy gun at him. Paul reminds Will that fear drove that fight, a memory Will had repressed for decades. This confrontation is emotional and revealing, showing the depth of Will's struggle with his past and his inner darkness. Will and Paul trace the killers to Anuli Springs. Blair Anson and Travis Nash, a GBI insider, are the culprits. The confrontation escalates: gunfire, brutal hand-to-hand combat, and high tension. Paul disarms Travis and strikes him with a water jug, allowing Will to cuff him. This is a perfect mix of action, strategy, and teamwork, Paul proving he's more than just comic relief. Meanwhile, APD closes the skunk hit-and-run case. Luna confesses to Benjamin Price's death, having deliberately attacked him during his allergic reaction to pepper spray. Daphne delivers cookies and releases her recovering skunk, while rookie Officer Adkins joins the softball team, providing comedic relief and warmth. In the aftermath, Paul prepares to leave. Betty protests, and Will finally confronts the trauma of his youth. Paul reassures him, "You've turned it towards something good." Will admits he fears he still relates too well to killers, that his inner monster is real. Paul urges him to keep fighting. Alone with Betty, Will contemplates the fine line between justice and darkness, leaving us with lingering tension and anticipation for the next episode. We're looking for a vampire. A woman found drained of her blood pulls Will and Caleb into a chilling case, one that mirrors Will's own pain, while Amanda is forced to confront lingering trauma. This episode, Call Paul, is a masterclass in suspense, emotional depth, and character-driven storytelling. From childhood trauma to serial killers, from hilarious APD antics to pulse-pounding action, it's a perfect example of why Will Trent keeps us coming back week after week. Let us know your theories about the killers, Paul, and whether James Ulster will ever haunt Will again.